Last week's Mercedes bi-turbo V8 teardown was a doozy. My shoulders are still recovering from that. So I wanted to do something easy. I needed a break, and not the break of not doing a teardown. Of course, I'm going to do a teardown. So I picked an easy one today, a GM LV3 4.3 liter V6. And this has nothing to do with the 4.3 that everybody thinks about when you say 4.3. This is not like the old Vortec 4.3s where it has the power of a 4-cylinder and the fuel economy of a V8. It has nothing to do with the spider injection nonsense or intake manifold gasket problems or all the other issues related to that series of engines. This is actually I like this engine. I think these are good engines. They make good power. It's 285 horsepower, just under 300 foot-pounds of torque, and I think they're somewhat reliable. Now, they're still pretty new. They came out for the 2014 model year, and I can get plenty of cores because they made lots of these vehicles, especially fleet vehicles. This core is deemed scrap, and I really can't tell why yet. I have no idea, but something tells me we're going to find out. Yep. This 4.3, much like the old 4.3, is based off its V8 counterpart. This engine shares the same architecture as the V8, the 5.3 liter direct injected L83. It has a lot of the same components, the same design features. It's very similar to pulling one of those engines apart, with the exception of having 2 less cylinders. It's easier. For once, I have an engine with spark plugs in it, so we're going to get those out, see if we can identify any problems. It has one odd plug wire here, and it doesn't fit very good. Why would you buy one plug wire? Aftermarket stuff. Well, the first thing I noticed is it has one AC Delco spark plug and 5 Densos, much like it has 5 OEM spark plug wires and 1 random aftermarket plug wire. I don't know why people do things like this. If you're going to do one, you might as well do them all. And none of these plugs are in great shape, and they're all very different. So this one has some white on the tip. I don't know if that's burning coolant or running lean. And then this here, it's hard to see, but the electrode is actually broken, or the porcelain around the electrode is actually broken. I don't know if that was an impact with something, or maybe heat. I think we're going to find out. Now that the plugs are out, let's see if this thing spins over. It sure does. It makes some noises. It's not bad. Let's see. Let's give the old knock test. So far, so good. Next, let's get this intake manifold off. And there are only a couple of bolts holding it on. It's obviously been off before. And this is where GM hid all the direct injection wizardry in the valley, on top of the valley cover. Here's your rails, which those have been out before. Well, at least that one has. And here's your high pressure fuel pump. This is cam driven. We'll get that apart. I'll kind of show you how that works in a moment. But first, I think we've got some other work to do. Well, that stuff doesn't belong there. Looks like part of a zip tie and part of one of those terrible locking connectors. I get mad at them too, but do not put them in the intake port. That is not the solution. Oh, these are pretty dirty. It's direct injection for you. Yeah, pretty dirty in there. Yeah, there's definitely some signs of moisture and some other junk in there. One thing I do like to see is the location of the oil pressure sending unit. You guys that have replaced these on Gen 3 and Gen 4 engines know they are not in a great location, but they made it really easy now. Now we're going to get the alternator bracket and the water pump housing out of the way. This thing tried to turn me into Miles Davis. For you guys that are used to working on Gen 3 and Gen 4 V8 engines, exhaust manifold bolts are a constant problem. I've had issues with my Trailblazer, with my Sierra, not so much with my Tahoe, but I put some stainless hardware in there. Either way, I think GM has a remedy here, and they basically cut the exhaust manifold flange between each cylinder, and that allows heat cycles, the expansion and contraction of the exhaust manifold to keep from breaking the heads off the bolts. Let's go ahead and zip these out of the way. Before we start tearing into the heads, I'm going to kind of prep the direct injection system, as I will likely pull the injectors and rails with the cylinder heads. It'll make that a lot easier to get those out later. So first thing we're going to do is get this line out of the way. Actually, we'll just leave it like that. That's fine. It can hang out there. We're going to start with the left head. It's not too dirty in here. I mean, it's a little dirty. It's not too bad. I don't see any broken valve springs. These are kind of, well, Gen 5 engines have been known to break valve springs. Won't know really until I get the rockers loose. So let's do that next. Just dirty. I don't see anything wrong yet. All right, just 8 head bolts should come right off. Okay, old blue. That looks okay. Boy, that piston is suspiciously clean. Let's see here. So far, so good. I think you guys can see the difference on camera. This piston is pretty clean compared to the amount of carbon on these two. Cylinder walls look okay. I don't feel anything. I don't see anything wrong yet. Let's go look at that cylinder head. So this cylinder is the one with the clean piston, and the combustion chamber is cleaner than the other cylinders as well. But I don't see any impact marks. I don't see anything horrifically wrong yet. Let's go to the other side. Okay, this isn't doing it. Maybe I just need more. Sure enough. Boy, this side is much cleaner. Nothing wrong yet. Let's see if this one comes off any easier. Okay, that all seems okay. It actually looks pretty good so far. I don't see anything wrong yet. Let's turn this engine over and see if we can see what's wrong with it. Yeah, I can't see anything wrong with it, really. Well, let's keep going. All right, now we're going to pull the crank pulley, the timing cover, and then we'll work our way towards the cam. Oh yeah. Forgot about that. Not a normal mechanical oil pump. And I don't really know what to do. What have I done here? Why is this like this? We'll just hold on to this and... Oh, I see some bad stuff. That's a lot of slack there. What do I do now? Stay. Oh, wait. Okay, now what? Oh, wait, I see how this works. Okay. That still doesn't help my situation. Why? Why, GM? Pull this out. And then maybe... Well, that's one way to do it. I think what you're supposed to do is get to this connector, which is impossible. Absolutely impossible. So I wanted to focus on the timing system. This is a little different than the Gen 5 V8 engines. But there's a lot of slack here. I can't tell if anything's broken or missing. But I just can't imagine that being normal. That is a ton of slack. And this is the cam here. So what is the point of this? Is there a balance shaft in here? I don't know. We're going to find out. Now we're going to pull the high pressure fuel pump and the valley cover. There's the pump. Let's get the valley cover up. This is mounted to the valley cover, so we're going to have to take this bolt out. Aha! That's a balance shaft. Probably because it's missing 2 cylinders. And that would explain why the timing system is different. So there's some sort of tensioner here. I don't even know what this pushes up on. It's like there's something missing here. That chain around the cam, like this. Nope, like, well, I can't do it again, but went on the other side of this gear. So maybe there's some piece missing. We may find it in the pan, maybe. All right, now let's pull the cam gear off. Oh, looks like I gotta take this out of the way first. Boy, I'm doing this all out of order, aren't I? One thing we can do, I think, is get the balance shaft out. Let's try that first. Yes, I can get that out. Wasn't too bad. Well, it does have some bearing wear on the balance shaft bearings. I'll show you. There's a little bit of bearing wear on this balance shaft bearing, and there's also some at the one on the rear, but the front is much worse. It's a pretty good sized groove in it. We can also get the lifters out, so we're going to do that next. Oh, don't fight me now. Well, that's not what I wanted to happen. Get out of there. Edges of the lifter have some wear too. Let's see if I can get its neighboring lifter out. These are the DOD lifters. Of course, they have a problem. Come on. Yeah, a little bit of wear. Roller feels okay. Uh-oh. That one's stuck. Well, that's a problem. So these are the lifters that came out. And the DOD lifters were really tight in the bore. Really tight. Some of the other lifters were pretty tight too. Some did come right out. I don't see any obvious signs of damage, but there is some wear on the outer sections of those lifters. But if you can count, we're missing one. That one is stuck in there. I don't know why it's so low. I mean, I know why it's so low. We're gonna find some stuff. Yep. Let's get this engine flipped over. All right, now it's time to make a mess. All right, let's zip this pan off. You can tell someone has most of the bolts out of it, so this pan was off for some reason. Ooh. Ooh, it's really dirty. It's really dirty. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh. That doesn't look right. Eee. That's not good. Everything looks good. Okay, now let's get this oil pump off. Oh, that's how that happens? Like that? Okay. The oil pump in Gen 5 engines is nothing like the previous engines. These are a variable oil pump. That's why it has this solenoid here, and that was that connector. There should be a connector in here. I don't understand, why do they put a connector here and not here? What if you just needed to pull the timing cover? Anyway, there's special tools to get this aligned correctly, and if you take this off and you don't have those tools, it's kind of a crapshoot whether you can get it aligned correctly. The tools are really cheap. I think people 3D print them. I could be wrong. Anyway, we're going to take this apart because, well, I want to see how it works. I'm sure you do too. Oh. Look at that. It's actually pretty cool. Yeah, it's never going back together. It doesn't really look like it's got any wear. It doesn't look like anything's been through here. And it looks like this sits on this dowel here, or is it? I didn't say doll hair. I said dowel here. Well, nope. We'll just take some more bolts out. That's how that works, right? Will you? Oh, that spring looks dangerous. Whoa! Okay, that was violent, but it's out, and I didn't get hurt. That's what's important. There we go. Boy, this is pretty intricate here. All right. Well, I don't really see any damage. It's just kind of dirty. Like oil's gone through it or something. That spring, do not try to take that out yourself. The pan is pretty dirty. I don't really see anything. There's no chunks. Well, hold a minute here. I see something. I don't know if you guys can see in there, but there is a needle bearing in there. And then, if you look back there, there's more needle bearings and some chunks of metal. Don't mind this. This is just hardened RTV, but we got a little gold in there, bearing gold. Not the good stuff. All right, I don't know if this is going to come out or not. I bet you this thing just slides back. It did nothing. Oh, we got some movement now. How are you supposed to do this? Blue to the rescue. Oh, really? Can't get this out, huh? Can't get this out because it runs into this. And then there's... Why is this like this? So to get the pickup out, you have to remove these 10s, which we'll do right now.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, that's the easy part. There's also 2 Torx on the side of the pan. They're a T20. Woo, that was close. I saw my life flash before my eyes. Now, this will come out, right? Yeah, there we go. And there's the pickup. There's some stuff on it. It's not totally clogged though. So there's some needle bearings. There's one here. There's a pair right there. That looks like it could be part of a lifter. There's some other chunky metal bits in here. A lot of small stuff, not recognizable. It's always more sanitary to go front to back. So we're going to start at the front of this engine and we're going to remove all the rods and pistons. All of the bearings have some grooves and scoring in them. None of them look great. They all have wear. Looks pretty consistent. Like it was either a low oil pressure or starved of oil somehow. And the rods and pistons look okay, but the skirts of the pistons actually, some of them look pretty bad. Not great. Now we're going to get the main caps off and pull the crank. The crank, all the journals of the crank need polishing. There's some grooves that I can feel with my fingernail, but nothing is horrible. However, if you look here, it's clear that this crank got in a fight with something. Cranks almost always win. Well, the main bearings don't look so great either. And then you start seeing this metal flake on the block. And then you notice, ooh, look at that cam lobe. Ugh. And all of the main bearings look like this. And if you look really close, look at the damage on the block. Something went through here. Now we're going to try to turn this cam over. Oh man. Let's look at that. We're going to turn this cam over, see if it makes any contact with the lifter, and it just brushes the remains of the lifter. We are going to turn this over to where I think I can pop. No, we're just going to have to pull the cam out. And then we'll probably have to pull the lifter inward instead of outward. Otherwise, we might damage the lifter bore. Will this come out? No, not even. Oh, maybe a little. I think we're on the home stretch. One way too short cam. All right, we're going to try to push this lifter up or down. That wasn't too bad. That would have never come out. Well, here is the damage. It is really what you'd expect when a lifter comes apart. Now, why the lifter failed? Well, it's not like they've ever had problems with lifters. But was it neglect? Lack of oil changes? That's what drives the high-pressure fuel pump there. But there's the lifter bore, and it is damaged. It's not terrible, but I don't know that I would want to use this engine, especially after part of that lifter went through it. That's probably what all of this damage is. The bores look okay. I don't see any major signs of damage, which is good considering the condition of the piston skirts. I've heard a lot of good things about the LV3. It seems a lot of owners are happy with the power and fuel economy. I do, however, wish they made a Gen 3 or Gen 4 V6. It didn't have to be a 4.3 liter, but just something between the Vortec V6, that Gen 2, and the Gen 5 that we just tore down. It would have been kind of cool to see. I've also heard that these engines have some timing chain related issues, and I don't hear that from the 5.3 or the 6.2 Gen 5 engines, and I bet that has something to do with the balance shaft. That's the only difference between the two. This engine suffered a catastrophic failure of the lifter, and it's kind of disheartening. How long have these lifters been a problem? A pretty long time, and it seems to be getting worse. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the way the oil pump works. I'd have a hard time believing that. I'm not really a huge fan of that system, to be honest. I get that they're trying to get the least amount of drag and try to increase the fuel economy. I understand that. But I think there's probably a point of diminishing return, and hopefully it's not there yet. Hopefully these engines end up being very reliable. They are still pretty new, and a used engine is still $300 to $3,500, so that tells me there is some demand. I think you could probably fix this engine. Would I want to do that? Probably not. I got a lot of good parts out of it. Hopefully the heads clean up pretty well. Not really sure why one was super clean. One of those pistons was super clean, and the rest were dirty. Maybe it's got a bad injector. I don't know. These are used parts. I don't really have a story behind these cores. I hope you enjoyed this teardown, and as always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.